All right, guys, welcome back to the channel again. Today, I want to talk about the witch wound. I want to talk to women who, in this day and age, have wonderful gifts, spiritual gifts to share. Maybe you're a healer, a psychic intuitive, you have different spiritual gifts to hold ceremony and gather women together and do energy alchemy or emotional alchemy. You can transcribe codes, you have visions in your meditations. These are all spiritual gifts that are written into your DNA. You are encoded with them. But for whatever reason in this life, you have struggled to bring yourself out into the open, to be visible. There's a fear around being visible and sharing your gifts, and that's not your fault. More than likely, you have past lives as a High Temple Priestess who, at one point, made vows of humility and renunciation so that your light wouldn't get distorted or misused. There was real dangers for High Temple Priestesses and their gifts when the patriarch model came in. But I want to share with you today what life was like as a high priestess and the gifts that you have today that are encoded in your soul purpose, encoded in your DNA. You came here, you chose to reincarnate at this time on this planet because you were meant to reactivate these gifts and share them with others. But before I go into that, I want to share with you what life was like as a temple priestess when your gifts were highly revered, when they were at the absolute top level, when everything that you do naturally, that comes naturally to you, was invaluable and it was so incredibly powerful. You are so incredibly powerful. And it's time for you to bring your gifts back. It's time for you to reawaken, and it's time for you to transcend the witch wound. So, I'm going to contrast today's modern day and age to what life was like back then. And back then, the wealth and abundance codes were different than the money system that we have now. As we're all finding out, the money system that we have now is fake. It's not real. It's just paper. And now it's just these transient codes. You give the bank a piece of paper, and then all of a sudden numbers show up in your bank account. Like it's very, very fake. But back in the day, wealth was a pure life force energy that could be manifested and it could be expressed through art, through healing, through sexuality, beauty, wisdom. It was never separate from spiritual purity. And the High Temple Priestesses used to draw energy through their bodies, draw energy in their sacral chakra, and actually swirl this energy around them. I'm not sure if a regular person was able to see the swirling energies around them or if it was just felt. But what I saw when I tuned into my meditation was that there was these swirls of light that would swirl around these high priestesses and they would draw this energy in and they would learn how to alchemize this energy and transmute it and pour it out into the nations, into the people. And they had this ability to see beyond just their individual selves, but they held the cosmic blueprints for nations. Let's talk about the sacral chakra, for example, because when I tune into my sessions as a quantum healer and a psychic intuitive, as someone that channels people's highest selves and their spirit guides to help guide them through life, when I tune into the sacral chakra, it is responsible for sexuality, for creative power. It is like the magnetic engine. It is the womb in women. It is where we have our power center. Usually the males have their power center in the solar plexus chakra right here, but the women have their power in the sacral chakra. That's where they generate quantum energy, both creative and material abundance. The sacral chakra is also responsible for joy, for pleasure, for this ecstatic energy. When the sacral chakra activates, you get this vibration, this stirring of energy that is much distorted in today's day and age. It's used to like, I'm horny or I feel like this, just like I'm hot and heavy. But if you take the sexual distortion out of it. That is what life force energy feels like. It is just like this energy that stirs inside of you, and it's extremely powerful. That's exactly why they're trying to distort it and suppress it and pervert it in so many ways. But every single bit of joy and excitement that you feel in the center, that you allow yourself to feel when you open up your sacral chakra, broadcasts a frequency signature that summons matching reality. So, this is how you attract abundance in your life. So, right now, we are outgrowing the old earth paradigm is crumbling. We see people that are working 3, 4 jobs on the old model of just work hard and make your money, and hard work must precede the reward. That is crumbling. The new earth paradigm that many women are shifting into because they are getting codes downloaded into them, especially again, if you are somebody that has a past life as a high temple priestess, you naturally get these codes. You naturally get downloads. You naturally have a memory of what life was like. And that life is coming back through the new earth. And the new earth is all about the receiving of joy is the activation for more blessings. When you allow yourself to truly savor food, touch, art, nature, you activate that sacral chakra and you have that energy swirling inside you. That is the generator. And so a lot of you are looking at the old paradigm and you're looking at people that are working 14, 15 hours and they can barely make it. And you're like, you're already tapped. There's nothing more that you can do. And you will run yourself into the ground on the old paradigm. This is preluding to the fact that we need you. We need you in the new earth paradigm. This is exactly why you reincarnated here on this earth, to remember what life was like as one of these temple priestesses. All right, so who were these temple priestesses? These temple priestesses were keepers of sacred sexuality, vibrational healing, emotional alchemy, and celestial wisdom. Their bodies, their voices, their touch, their songs, these were all instruments that were used for channeling divine frequency into the world. I want to make an important connection here. If you notice, we're talking about receiving. They didn't generate from their own energy. They received from a higher power and then generated that through their bodies and let it sort of ripple out into the field. They were these highly attuned transmuters, amplifiers, transmitters of these God codes, these quantum codes that came from the divine. And they actually tended to the full living grid of Earth and the cosmos alike. Like that is how powerful they were. So these high temple priestesses used to use this type of energetic magic to bless crops so that entire nations had crops that were growing. They offered blessings for conception, for peace between tribes and nations. So, when we talk about using sexual or sensual energy in these ceremonies, we're not talking about this distorted form of pleasure alone. We're talking about opening up channels of life force energy that would basically be the Kundalini energy that comes out of the root chakra and rises all the way to the top of the crown. And when they did this, any trauma or stuck energy in the body would simply just like burn off. And in their loving presence, abundance would return because the blockages were removed. So back in the day, these temple priestesses used to create ceremony where they would do like rage burnings and sexual healing circles. They would transmute grief into wisdom and shame into power. And one thing that I wanted to mention about the sacral chakra, because I work so closely with the chakras, is that the sacral chakra is blocked by guilt and shame. So those energies block the sacral chakra and stop the flow of abundance, stop the flow of creativity. In very practical terms, if you're trying to get pregnant and your sacral chakra is being blocked by guilt and shame, that is going to affect your ability to procreate. And talking about the emotional alchemy that needs to happen in today's day and world, just look around at how many people are not even sitting with their emotions. There's people that are deathly afraid of sitting with their emotions because it's this dam that they don't want to break because God knows what's going to happen. They have all sorts of numbing agents, they have all sorts of things and distractions that they turn to so that they don't actually have to transmute their emotions, so that they don't actually have to go inside and do any emotional alchemy. But it's a temporary fix. And as we know, emotions accumulate in the body and the cells remember them. Your blueprint, like it gets caked onto your blueprint, those don't go anywhere and they just accumulate and act as emotional baggage for you in this life. And they're clogging up all of your channels for receiving abundance and goodness in your life. So it was and is incredibly important work for you as a modern day temple priestess, if you want to call it that, as a modern day healer, as a psychic intuitive, as somebody that understands how to hold space for people. That's an incredibly important role. And we'll see that coming in the new earth. The more that the old system crumbles, the more that the grid is going to be destabilized and people are going to be losing their jobs. They're going to be shocked when things come out. They're going to be shocked when the truth comes out. They're going to be blitzed apart when the foundations and the paradigms that they had, that they were so deeply rooted in. And there's going to be all sorts of emotions that come up as these systems continue to crumble in the old paradigm. And you are going to be needed in the future because people are going to need someone to turn to and say, how do I deal with all of this grief now? How do I deal with all this stress? I don't even know what's up, what's down. And they're going to need somebody who knows how to stabilize the grid. So these priestesses were so highly revered and respected back in the day that kings used to kneel before them. And everybody knew that they were the bridge between humanity and the divine. As the masculine patriarchy came in, it completely distorted all of these power systems. And these temple priestesses started to have to basically veil their work. They were doing it in secret. They did it in like secret mystery schools. They did it underground. Some of these women would be ordinary women by day, and then they would get together and do the real work at nighttime. But they had to start to hide their work. So, again, I want to tap into the sensual, sexual energy that lives inside the sacral chakra, that portal that women have between their legs. Men have a sacral chakra as well, but women have the womb. They are the generators. And so I want to go back to that because there's a lot of misunderstanding around sexuality and these codes. And I've even heard that in modern day spirituality that there's women out there who are now having sexual relations with all these men because they believe that by doing so they are healing these men, but they're just prostituting themselves out there and getting taken advantage of. And I think that's so sad. It's just another lens of spiritual distortion. And I want to set the record straight. So when we are talking about and this is a good reason why they have distorted this, because of how powerful this sexual energy is. Orgasmic energy, by the way, is more powerful than an atomic bomb. Yeah, that's how powerful this energy is. And women have the womb, so they have this portal in the sacral chakra that, if you're talking about in the sense of procreation, it is taking non physical cosmic stardust energy and funneling it down into the womb. It starts to build a physical body and then it births the physical body into the physical world. Your 10th chakra is part of what's responsible for grabbing the chromosomes from the cosmic world. And then it grabs, your lineage. What parts of your lineage are you going to carry in your codes? What lessons, what karmic lessons, what ancestral lineage are you going to carry? Your 10th chakra is very active during preconception and conception because that's what's actually grabbing all of these non-physical codes to organize and orient them so that you are born with sort of a cosmic framework. Okay. But what we're talking about here, when we're not talking about procreation as far as like bringing children into the world, that same sacral chakra, that same portal has the ability to bring about ideas. So, if you have a vision in life that you want to bring to life, if you have daydreams and the life that you want and the dream life that you want and how you want things to be, not just for your life, but again, because you're have past lives as the high priestess temple who looked over nations, you naturally have a desire to include the whole collective in your visions. Like when you're thinking about your dream life, you're typically not just thinking about, dripping in diamonds and wearing fur while peasants around you are suffering. That's not part of the new earth mentality. Because you carry these codes, you are thinking in terms of having an entire collective planet that is uplifted financially. We're out of enslavement. We're liberated. Everybody's living a good life. Crops are prospering. Wonderful children are being born. There's family units. There's enough time and space that children can grow into beings that are stable and feel safe, and the crops are growing, so there's abundance of food, there's an abundance of this life force energy in everybody. Look around in today's day and age. So many people are completely depleted. People are dead in the eyes. They have no energy at the end of the day. They are completely and fully depleted from life force energy. This is why we need you. Okay. So these temple priestesses, they learned how to channel sexual current consciously. Okay. Consciously grabbing this energy and swirling it around and making something of it and then rippling it out into nations and having this exorbitant effect on entire planetary grids. And these high priestesses were stationed out over the world to create this grid of this life force energy. Because they were the bridge between the Divine Mother herself, the heaven on earth bridge, right? They were the ones that got the codes from the divine. They felt the codes. They were an open channel to these codes from the divine and then bridge that by bringing them into the physical realm. Kings used to come to them, not just for advice, but to be anointed. Kings asked them to help guide them because these high temple priestesses were able to get prophecies and visions, and they knew when certain things were going to happen. They knew when basically you had to pack up a nation and go somewhere because they were seers. They could see into the future. Danger is coming. We need to pack everybody up and relocate. Or danger is upon us. We need to generate a force field of protection around us to keep us safe. So, yes, they channeled this life force energy. They never allowed for the sexual energy to be weaponized or suppressed or distorted in any way. They were extremely careful about how they interacted with people so that they wouldn't distort or play any power games with this extremely potent energy that they carried. Just by simply walking by somebody and touching them, they were able to transfer healing to a person. But because of that, they had to keep that energy very, very sacred. So they did a lot of what I call spiritual hygiene. So I wanted to know how these priestesses got chosen. Some of these kids were born under certain celestial alignments, soul cosmic junctions astrologically, where their soul light was seen by existing priestesses and gently invited into these initiatory paths. Others would come at around puberty level where they were drawn to sacred sites, and then the older priestesses would see their interest in it and bring them into the field of it. And then others kind of lived a full life And then it wasn't until like the death of a partner or a parent or some, really crazy spiritual experience that they had that then they wanted to be in service as a high priestess. In all cases, it was never like a forced thing. The soul always said yes, or they volunteered to do this. And we see this in today's day and age. We actually see, on social media, there's certain kids that the parents ask them questions and they remember all of their past lives and they channel information that we don't know where that comes from. Then we see kids that are just, they grow up, they're kind of normal, but then they have certain gifts that come online later. And then we also see people that have lived like full lives. And then it's all of a sudden, somewhere in their adult life, they have a spiritual experience that is just undeniable. And then from that point on, everything in their life changes. Right now, we're seeing the reemergence of channelers, and we're seeing people that get into a higher state of consciousness. This is one thing that I do in my sessions. I get into a higher state of consciousness, and then I'm able to tune into the energetic field. I'm able to tune into source, a person's higher self, their spirit guides. I look at their body energetically. I can look into the chakras, see what energetic programs are coming up that need to be removed, blockages that are happening, emotional wounds that are stuck inside the body that need to be acknowledged and honored and released, and protective mechanisms, all of this. We're seeing this type of healing reemerge. So that's a good thing. Going back to the kings and the priestesses, I just want to mention here that when kings divorced themselves from the wisdom and blessings of a high priestess, they didn't do so good. That was like the downfall of the king. They often found themselves in tyranny and chaos. Their crops would die. Their nations weren't prosperous anymore. Basically, a king was nothing without a priestess. The priestesses were essential for survival, not only for conception, farming, prophecy, but also for keeping love alive in families and tribes and throughout generations. So I want you to remember that you chose to reincarnate here in this post-patriarchal culture that would demean or dismiss your gifts. Hence why you have the witch wound. But you knew that you were going to come at this time for this very reason, so that you could witness these old systems collapse and that you could help build a new earth based on resonance with abundance for all. But today's day and age, a lot of people think that this is woo woo work. They don't acknowledge it. They don't value it. And so there is this dissonance between having cellular memory in every single cell of your body and your soul blueprint of having been one of the most highly revered, highly respected pinnacle of creation, higher than kings, having this direct channel from source and being able to generate that much energy that you could bless crops and generate life force energy for nations and lineages. And now in this modern day, people don't see the value in what you're doing, but I want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. Keep envisioning, keep channeling these quantum codes. Don't let this gift inside you die. Don't let this desire inside you die. You have a desire within you to build a new earth. I call you guys new earth creators. You don't understand necessarily why these things are being born within you. You don't understand why you're getting these messages, why there's such a conviction within you to work inside the energetic realm. Funnels and emails and campaign things, and that is the current system that you struggle with, because how do you take something that is so energetic, so abstract, ancient, so sacred, and then dummy it down into like a 2D pancake where you're shipping off emails? It's a tough one, but I want to encourage you to keep doing the work energetically, because we are tapped into the quantum realm, which is more powerful than any algorithm. It's more powerful than any programmable, hackable AI that's taking over. The new Earth grid does not work on that model anyways. Okay, right now we're still in that transition period where we are shifting into the new earth paradigm. We're basically creating a quantum reality. We're co-creating it with other starseeds. You're not alone. There's a lot of people that are getting these types of codes, downloads. I've channeled for a lot of people that I'm seeing basically job positions that have not opened yet. So it's like the equivalent of before the internet came out. If I saw a job opportunity for someone before the internet came out and been like, one day you're going to work for Google. And it's like, what the heck is Google? We don't even have internet yet. But 20, 30 years down the road, that person is working at Google. So it's the same kind of thing that I'm seeing right now in a lot of my clients where these job openings are opening up for people, but they're not opening up yet because we haven't shifted enough into that new earth quantum reality yet. But we're all co-creating it. So that's why these codes are coming in. That's why these desires are being born. That's why your chakras are being reactivated. That's why you have this desire to keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, because that energetic work, that alchemy work that you're doing, the visions that you have, the codes that you're getting, the healing that you're doing, the things that you're spiritually capable of are your spiritual superpowers. And those are getting activated right now. They're cultivating, they're amplifying this quantum reality co-collectively with other star seeds. Meanwhile, we're raising our vibration and distancing ourselves from the old paradigm. We want nothing to do with it anymore. We're detaching from that, but we're shifting into that quantum reality, but we haven't quite shifted into it yet. And that reality, that quantum reality that we're seeing visions of, the new earth paradigm, the new earth reality, has not yet solidified. So that's why we are in such an incredibly interesting time period right now. Another thing I want to mention that I thought was really cool is that when ancient Atlantia and Lemuria got destroyed, there was the frequency of 144,000 that basically, the way that I saw it in my mind's eye, in my third eye, was that it spewed out like a volcano, and certain chunks of it went to Yucatan, Peru, ancient Egypt, and then the rest of it was like suspended in the silicon plasma to be used in souls that we reincarnated in the future. And so those souls reincarnating in the future, like that's us now. If you're a starseed and you resonate with this material, that's you. You carry some of those ancient codes. That's how this frequency is encoded in you. You were literally designed to usher in the new earth because you carry that 144,000 frequency from ancient Atlantea. It was like the heartbeat of Atlantea, the heart frequency of it. And right now, you're meant to start to reactivate that. You're bringing that back online. So remember your lineage. Remember how powerful you are. Reclaim how powerful you are, and don't let modern day NPCs and people that don't get it tell you that what you're doing is insignificant and it's not valued and it's woo woo and it doesn't do anything. Don't listen to that.
If you guys like what you heard today and you would like to book a session with me directly, you can find my link below. I am just in the middle of getting a new website built for me, but I have provided my booking link below. And if you're interested in booking a session, to look into your energy, your energetic patterning, your blueprint, what's coming for you in the future, what is happening inside your chakras, and if you need guidance on something that you need clarity on, then we can take a look at your energetic field and I can channel messages from your highest self, from your spirit guides, pertinent information that you need to know right now at this moment in time. So take a look at the link below. Until next time, guys.